Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Hope everything is good with you guys. I hope you're enjoying the heat wave. They are saying that we're going to go through a cooling spell, so I'm excited about that.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, one of those things, huh? Well, good to see everybody for sure.
It is that time of the year, though.
Yeah,
Hot.
it is hot, and there's a lot to do. It's crazy how in homesteading, I didn't know this at the beginning, but you really spend all your time chasing the next season. And it sounds crazy, but
We haven't started chasing the next season.
you got a mouse in your pocket? You know how much firewood I've put up in the nice weather?
You've put up firewood right now?
A ton.
I didn't know you. I thought you were just sitting up here on the computer. I didn't see you put any wood away.
That does not surprise me in the least. What about getting all the hay ready for the winter? Did you not notice me doing that either?
No, I saw that.
Oh, okay.
I guess that is kind of.
Yeah. So what have you done to get ready for the winter?
Let me think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Keep thinking there, bud. While you're thinking, on the long list of things you've done to get us further ahead.
I'm getting food going. I'm going to feed you.
What you should say is I'm focusing on the fall, which would be the harvest.
The harvest.
And that would shut me up.
It is.
Right? Is that your answer?
Yes.
Okay. See, be the peace. Matt, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Starlet Dope, good to see you. RN, welcome in. Leela, good to see you from Tennessee. We did have a good week. It was a lot, though. We'll share that with you guys. And then obviously the world is just trying to make sense of it is a whole nother thing. Terminator, good to see you. Carrie Davis is in the house. Good to see you. Sharpshooter, what's up, buddy? Jean Menke, good to see you. Jane, good evening back at you. City Greens says, hey, Freesteaders, happy Friday from Texas. My buddy Nitos is in the house. Actually just got off the phone with him just a little bit ago. And I did have the conversation that I told you that I would have. And he agrees with me in what I said to you. I still think I should pick up the phone and call the factory and verify, but it looks like that's good to go. Tambra Smith, good to see you. The greatest name on the internet is in the house. Good to see you. Let's see here. Kent, how are you, bud? Good to see you. Jen Botho. Hello, hello. Let's see here. Life with Mike and Jen. Jen, good to see you. I'm so excited for you guys. I'll leave it at that. Hey, Redneck, what's up, buddy? Redneck, I wanted to tell you that I got a lesson from one of your students on what you taught them. And, there's still something to be said. And I tried to explain this to this little person, that there's no substitute for cubic inch. There's no replacement.
Well, yeah.
There just isn't. There's no replacement for displacement.
Yeah.
And, mass matters. Anyway. Anyway, it was good. Ron Benefield, good to see you. Scanes, what's up, bud? Let's see here. Harry Kent Hempworth, how is Paula? Good to see you guys. They just had some violent thunderstorms, torrential rains, and winds, but no damage. Good. Yep. Stan Guthrie, good to see you. Let's see here. Beth Emily, hello. Trying to make sure that I don't miss nobody. Oh, look at that. The beautiful Louise Wesley. You happy with that? You like that better?
Louise
is in the house. Yep. Jen says summer vacation. We talked last week a lot about how being the peace. And this is right in this, if you can create an environment where your significant other feels like they don't need a vacation, you're doing your job. If you create that destination, that they come home to this destination, they come home to this peace, that the rest of the world doesn't matter. And if the shit is going to hit the fan tomorrow, if I come home, my wife says, we got this, babe, I'm fine. I can handle it. If I come home and what she says, oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh my God. Yeah.
I told you to
be the peace. We'll be cool. Good to see you. Yeah, there you go. Sharpshooter says, we already got next year's woods cut. It's definitely a blessing. It is. Try to be ahead of the game,
Amen.
Yep, look at that. The King, Jeff, Juicy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Mud Dauber, Slick, Phyllis. I'm adding Phyllis tonight.
Phyllis?
He'll tell you why.
He says it's 19.
Yep.
Does he have 19 names?
I don't. That's a challenge for me to create 19.
Oh, okay.
So Gypsy 19 is his way of call and tag out. saying I need 19 names.
Yeah.
So I'm
You're almost there. We should write that down.
Says, hey, all heading back to Russet to get my tractor, trying to listen in the truck. Good to have you, bud.
He's safe.
Yep, I'm gonna show a picture of what him and I were up to. Let's see here. Hey, look at that. Mandy Garrett, Permatopia Farm is in the house. Good to see you. Hope all is excellent with you guys. Yeah, Dana Green says, I think the heat just setting in here in Texas. Oh, look at that. Jen says, we'll be up in 6 more sleeps. 6 days and a wake up. Something like that. That's what they used to say in the Army. Yeah, hey, Can Squatch, good to see you. Hey, Zeus, welcome in. Nito says, I will ask for the prayer warriors to send some prayers to my mom. She was hospitalized this morning. Come on. All right, guys. Get them prayers out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Amen to that. All right. Let's see here. Oh, no. Live is complete.
Without a back rat.
That's right. Welcome in, Pack Rat. Look at there. Already prayers coming in. Pretty cool. Look at all that. You guys rock so much. You know that? Absolutely cool. All right, baby. You want to get us?
Wonderful.
You want to get us
Thanks,
started tonight?
Well, what's so well, I've been still planting. It's almost July.
Anybody want to live in the world she lives in?
And I'm still
Seriously?
planting. I still have 2 flats of tobacco in the greenhouse that I have not even thought of taking care of. I have a mulberry tree in there still from Silver Lining. I planted the rest, still have 1. And I think there's a dill.
And that's it.
In the greenhouse. Now there's some pots up at the orchard that have to be planted because I was gifted. We had a community member who had an abundance of plants and offered some to us.
The whole community.
Yes.
Right. Offer it to everybody.
To everybody. And
That's why
I
you keep me
was
around.
blessed
Keep
with
you on this, you know.
path of giving real direction. I was gifted some St. John's wort, holy basil, calendula, catnip, feverfew, marshmallow, sage, self-heal, toothache plant, and wormwood. And then I was ever so pleased to see when I was planting this stuff that Tag came home and said, I've got something for you. And I said, oh, and he said, come over to the Jeep. And I came over and he said, I got those 2 grapes that I owed you. And they had other things on sale. So he got me some more sage, more hyssop, anise, lemon balm, lemon verbena, yarrow, coneflower of like 3 different colors, grapes, the 2 grapes that he owed me, but then I had grapes in the greenhouse that needed to be planted. So I got all of those in the ground. There was there were 3 stevias, which I've tried to grow in the past. A lot of this I've tried to grow in the past, and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like lavender. He got me 4 different kinds of lavender this time. And I have tried lavender on numerous occasions. Different types, different places, different seasons. And I don't know. It's got to be me, right? If it's a different location, different plants, different nurseries, different dirts, different times of the year. I'm the only one in common. So now that we've got that out of the way, I am trying lavender again.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm trying a lot of this stuff again. And also you got me some hollyhocks. Hollyhock, which I've never grown before, but I was gifted hollyhock twice now. And so we are going to have some.
Hey, I want to welcome in Barbara to the house, and Aljo, you too.
To the house.
Yeah, Jesus, Camber says, I kill lavender. And Jesus says, I got some sad looking tomato and pepper starts in the ground along with a few okra. Now they will either grow or not, but they are no longer trying to survive in seed starting trays. Yeah.
That's a good start.
Beth Emily says, I have lavender issues too. Yeah. And Jen says, plant killer is a thing. We need shirts.
Plant killer.
Yeah. Here's the thing, guys, about this. So I'm notorious for showing up with a truckload of plants. Yes, I do it.
Yeah.
That is not abnormal.
Like, oh, she's in the greenhouse or in the orchard. I might as well grab something while she's in there.
So that's not really how it works, though. Just so you know, for me, I don't set out and say, "Hey, I'm going to go and bring me some plants. Let's go to the nursery." It's that, like the last time, I had to go get a piece of metal from Metal by the Foot for my own projects that I'm working on. I drove right by.
And you drove past the nursery.
Two nurseries, and it's getting the point in the season where things start going on clearance.
Yes.
And so what I'm like doing, I'm like, I'm already here. Let me just go walk around, see if there's any great deals on anything. And then here's the other thing, is that if you get to know the owners of the nursery really well, and you have lots of conversations with them, and you sit and talk to them, and I know you're busy, but if you take the time to do those kinds of things, and it's easy, guys. If you need a conversation starter, walk up to the owner and say, hey, can you tell me, do you guys carry wormwood? Just start a conversation every single time. And pretty soon what happens is you walk in the door. Like now, I walk in the door and they go, hey, Tag, what's going on? Oh,
I'm still looking for wormwood.
Yeah, just off seeing what I can steal and bring home to my wife, and they just laugh. Ha, ha. Well, what happens is then I start having a conversation like, hey, I tell you what, we're trying to get rid of all of these. I know they're already, 40% off. What if I give you 75% off, but you take 10 of them?
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. And I just keep an eye on it. And I know it makes my wife happy. I know that it also increases our infrastructure, which with everything going on in the world, guys, the single biggest thing you can be working on is infrastructure. Infrastructure is a lot of things.
You call plants infrastructure?
I do, because it's food. You're installing your food factory.
Yeah.
Which is infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so
I guess I just thought like that would be buildings.
See, I don't look at it like that at all. I look at it as
wow, that sun really came out.
Yeah. I look at it more like manufacturing plants, like I was just saying. So how do I get my water? I get it through infrastructure. How I move water is infrastructure.
Everything's infrastructure.
It's infrastructure. And then you got food. And what's my food infrastructure? Well, our food infrastructure is we have 2 annual gardens. We have a large food forest. We raise cows, chickens, turkeys, geese, guineas, whatever. Those are our food, right?
Yeah.
Infrastructure. And so anyway, so I'm always looking to grow it. But I'm going to tell you guys, if you just spend a little bit of time being nice, getting to know people, and it's the littlest thing. I walked by a lady at Skinner's Nursery, which is a nursery I love, my favorite place to go. And a lady that worked there, and she had her cart had tipped over, and I stopped what I was doing, helped her push the dirt back up in the pots, get them back up on the cart, told her to have a nice day, and walked away. And she greets me every time I come in there now. Yeah. I'm not doing those things to get freebies. It's not like that. What I'm trying to do is build relationships, because at the end of the year, who do they call when they're ready to blow everything out? Who do they call when the chicks are too old?
Yeah.
Who do they call? And it's those kinds of relationships that I think really help make you a better homesteader and get you further along, because, and I've told this to you guys a million times in these lives, you cannot be successful at this life paying retail.
Right.
You can't do it. And I mean, unless you have an unlimited amount of money and don't have to go nowhere, and this is your dream, I don't see how any person, I just don't know how.
Could afford to pay retail for everything.
Yes. Nito said they have not been successful with lavender either. Jesus, yep. I kill lavender too. Yep. Let's see here. Jen says it's especially important if they're going to self-seed or will survive winter, and then you don't have to buy again. Yes. So I spend 75% of the money that I spend on plants, I spend on the food forest, maybe more, because I also don't want to plant it again. And as she gets all those things growing and they just multiply, yeah. I'm not buying them again. But that goes to another step too. I had a conversation with another community member today who needed some comfrey. I can help them. Right. We got comfrey coming out our ears. Yep. And so you get to kind of spread it out, but it also works back the other way. B was just talking to you guys about how another one of our homesteading community members had some extra after they planted St. John's wort and holy basil and feverfew and marshmallow, blah, blah.
And a whole nother farm was like, hey, how about do you have wormwood? Mm-hmm. I'll get you some wormwood. Yeah. And so they brought me a big hunk of it.
And that way, what you get to do is you get to exchange resources like that. And, we'd be happy to, first of all, anybody in the community needed comfrey, we'd give them comfrey. But typically what happens is they come over bearing a gift of bee balm.
Yeah.
Right. Typically that's how it goes. And we just continue to build not just our infrastructure, but the infrastructure for the community.
Yeah.
Which is super important if we promise ourselves that we're never going to be a refugee, that we're going to carry our own weight, and which is a critical component, I think, in a community, right? Yeah. Absolutely critical.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be the
No,
weight on somebody else's back.
Not me.
I mean, if you do, then good luck to you.
Yep, not me. Hey, my good buddy Mo's in the house. Mo says plants are paybacks for bees showing up with animals. Yeah. And bee likes to show up with animals. Well,
it wasn't. I mean,
here's the thing, though.
I had permission.
She is not so bad showing up with animals until she gets with Louise. Because if she's not with Louise, what she's going to come home with is she's going to find some turkey she wants, and she spent $12.
Yeah.
If she leaves with Louise, it will be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
But it's good stuff.
Let's see here. Try to catch up here. I'm hoping.
At least I have somebody that is going to go and help me get that good stuff. I'm not going to go solo to some random farm and get some cow. Look at my first experience with that baby cow that was trying to hang itself because it did not want me to have it. And then talking to Louise, she's like, do you really want that kind of a cow? Remember? And I'm like,
I wasn't there.
It doesn't seem like I want that one then. And then I get the next one and it like comes up to me like a dog and is like, hello, are you my mom? And I'm like, yes, I am.
Oh, I promise you that's what that calf was thinking.
Come
Are you
with
my
me.
mom?
Yes.
Oh, I know.
And I was like, I will love you and I will feed you. And it followed me around.
Nita said,
No, I
I'm hoping
hadn't
that when
read
my fruit trees get big enough to shade some areas, I'll be able to get some to stay alive. Yeah, you're in a hot place. Hey, Northern Girl Hobby, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see here. Northern Girl Hobby says, good evening, Tag and Bee. I love Bee's Top. Where do I buy one? Well, you actually can't buy them, but I'll tell you that we can probably hook you up if you send me an email.
I don't have any of these.
You don't? We'll have something. Send me an email.
I don't have any tank tops.
Oh, you don't?
My lady is no longer.
Okay. Hey, Conserve Friends, welcome in. Says, with all the sun and 100-degree weather here in the east, I broke down and covered my tomatoes with shade cloth.
Yeah.
They like warm weather, but these extremes have been tough on all my plants and flowers. Yeah, we have shade cloth. We never deployed it, but certainly glad to have it if we ever need to.
I'm not sure how I'd put it up. I'd have to like put something to hold it.
This is a great comment. Leela says, I have a pin on my Pinterest board that says, I don't have a gray thumb. I'm more of a plant hospice worker, easing the transition as they go to be with Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Indiana Mike, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Welcome.
Yep, good to see you. Scroll down here, make sure I didn't miss nobody. Yeah, Jen says, bah, I had permission. Yeah, right.
I have permission.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She was there.
Is she the one you got the permission from?
No, she knew I had permission before we even left. It was a girls' trip.
Yeah, perception's such an interesting thing. Huh. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matt says Baumgart's and Gardner had 50% off poultry and waterfowl chicks they had yesterday. We brought home 4 ducklings and 9 chicks. They had live plants half off too. Yeah, now's the time to be doing those things. And guys, actually, I would encourage you to take out your calendar and write down when's the best time of the year to buy a wood stove. When's the best time of the year to buy coveralls and gloves. When's the best? Because at the end of those seasons, I'm also buying on clearance.
Yeah.
You know, Bee's got 7 pairs of, I don't know, literally 7. We got quite a few pairs.
3 pairs. Are you talking about my
overalls?
3 pairs.
No, you have at least 3 pairs of rosies.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my insulated.
Oh, your winter
ones.
Okay. That might be true.
Well, because if you get poop on one, you need another pair. And then you need a pair that doesn't have any poop on them in case you need to go to like an auction. Because it really sucks to get into the car and you're like, oh, what is that? Oh, man, that's poop.
Beth Emily says, "Are you my mom?"
Are you my mom?
You know, when bees come by, where we're out working in the field, and a bee will come by, she's like, "Oh, they're just saying hi."
I'm like, that one's
Like,
mine.
Yeah,
I can tell.
You're nuts. That was not a good cow, and I'm not a cowologist.
See, she was there, and that one was like, it did it. Like tried to hang itself. It was like, don't let it have me. She was on her worst behavior.
Mo says we can put the shade cloth on the Wallapini. Yeah, you know, Mo, I cannot.
Are you
tell
coming to make me a Wallapini, Mo?
No, I cannot tell you, Mo, how thankful I am that you constantly remind me of this every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Data says, did you see Billy at Permapastures Farm latest video where he panhandles? No, I did not, but I will absolutely go check that out.
Panhandles? What's panhandle like?
I'm way behind. Oh no, I'm not too far. Okay, cool. I'm not way behind. All right, let's see here. RN says the heat and small animals have killed almost all my strawberry plants. I started with 26. I may have 4 left. Yeah. Yeah, it's part
I
of.
put crates over the top of my stuff that is being consumed by the chickens and such. Like harvest crates, I turn them upside down and put them over the plants just to kind of get them away from what I don't want them on.
I always tell B, quit planting stuff. Yeah, outside.
Outside. We should plant them inside.
Outside the food forest. She has a completely fenced food forest.
It was just barely completely fenced, just like this month.
But you have one.
So when
And
I
it's
planted
completely
the
fenced.
strawberries at the front door, I didn't have a completely fenced off food forest.
But you could dig them up and move them to the food forest.
OMG, dude.
Yeah, Jen says, I think the engineer wants to build your Wallapini. Yeah,
I
there you
know,
go,
it sounds
Jen.
that way. He's like,
There you go. Hey, look at that. Oh. Hey, Squatchy's in the house. What's up, Squatchy? How are you, bud? Good to see you. Yeah. Louise says you can't go wrong with Freedom Farms cattle in Tennessee, great breeders. Yeah, this is Louise talks about this all the time, and I love that it's Freedom Farms, right?
mm-hmm.
In
Isn't
Tennessee.
that crazy?
Yeah, and that's where she gets her Dexter cows from, and that's ultimately where ours come from. So they are
gentle.
They are gentle.
They're
yeah. Hey,
good stock.
Betsy De La Rosa, good to see you. Scroll. All right, look at that.
And you're at the bottom.
Yep. I have no idea what she's saying. But I did it for
Come again? Caller, are you there?
Georgia, Boston. How are you? Good evening. Good evening. I hope everything's good with you. Good to see you. All right. All right, what's next on your list? We totally got derailed.
Oh, right.
Happens though, right?
So I've been mowing some more. I've been weed eating some more. And then I got I didn't get the tractor out. You got the tractor out.
Oh yeah.
But I did get to mow with the tractor.
Yeah, I got a picture of that.
Mowing?
Of you mowing. But guys, I got to tell you the tractor story. You guys will love this. So
you're going to love this.
Yeah, B's got a
This is a
16-month-old tractor, right? Bought it, and you guys know who's on the live all the time, bought it for a brand new, brand spanking new. And nice.
Yeah, we didn't spank it.
It's got a cab, it's got air, like it's the same kind of cotton candy rainbows and fairy farts that Beast typically lives in, right?
It skips down the road.
Yeah, it skips down the road. So she parks it in her brand new cow barn, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she had to have, even though
shaded.
we don't have a single cow on our property right now. But anyway, so
it was a place to park the tractor.
So someone left the lights on when they parked it.
It was not me.
At the beginning of winter, right? Middle of winter.
Yeah.
Well,
you scooped in the winter.
Yes.
But then Carl was in the tractor after that.
Carl, if you're watching the live, you're being blamed for this, just so you know.
Carl.
It's all Carl's fault. Carl!
Damn it, Carl. You left the lights on in the tractor.
Yeah.
Kill the battery.
Yeah. So I get out there and
he says, I put the jumper cables in the Kubota for you. So you need to jump the tractor.
Yeah. She didn't ever jump the tractor.
I didn't put the jumper cables in there in the first place.
Yeah.
He who touches jumper cables jumps the damn tractor.
Oh, so anyway, so
Yeah.
I
I'm glad it was him and not me because I would have been like,
oh, the fiasco. So I go out there to jump it to get it going. All that's fine. You know, remember I bought B a brush hog for the back of it, which is why we haven't used it much this year. I have a skid loader we use for most of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Finally got her the mower. I was going to put it on, and then she can mow. Everything's fine. So I go out there, it wouldn't jump. And man, I'm telling you, I put that jumper cables on there. I pulled the Jeep in, put the jumper cables on there for 30 minutes, but could not even get it to turn over. Just click, 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 click.
maybe
So
it's because it was the Jeep.
I'm like, all right, now the Jeep's got a bigger battery than what was in the tractor.
Mm.
Not anymore, but
It goes battery to battery side.
yeah. So I'm like, all right, I need a new battery. This tractor's a year old, keep in mind, right? So I pull the battery out. I go to O'Reilly's. I get a brand new battery and say, hey, I want you to up the cold cranking cold cranking amps, because that's just how I do things. And get it home, get it in, get it started. Took a good third of my day, but got it out there. Then I went and got her mower put on her tractor for her, got it parked in front of the house for her, all by the time she got home from lollygagging in Topeka.
Yeah, he was like, you need to mow. Mow. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, Carl, the barbecue man.
I'll get to it when I get to it, man. Get off my back.
Oh, I love this. Yeah. It says doing well, busy, but productive. Hey, and you know what?
Gotta love it.
I gotta love it. You know, we're proud of our efforts today. And I think if you can answer yes to that, mission accomplished. Good for you and congratulations. Let's see here. Mo says my 77-year-old Ford 8N tractor with a broke governor make bush hogging super fun. Oh yeah, I bet it does. Yeah. Anyway, what else you got?
We got the mower working, and I got to mow for several hours, and it had the air conditioner on, and there was a couple of times where I got into some tall stuff, and it like boggled it down, and it like started to shake the tractor, and I'm like, what do I don't know what to do. And then I remember Jeff was like, back up. And I was like, oh. But like 3 times I like killed it. It's, SOS, turn it off. And then you drive across the field like, what's going on? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, my heart is jumping. Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, oh, well, I know how to fix it now. Oh, and then I had to up the RPMs too of the tractor. Still learning it, 48 hours in, and half of them were you.
Now, so on the RPM gauge, it tells you when you're mowing, this is the RPMs you want to use. It's on the RPM gauge.
I asked you what that picture was, and I asked 3 people. I asked 3 men what that picture was, and it was you today, because we couldn't figure out why it wasn't going. Yes,
not we. I knew. I said that's telling you right there what RPMs to drive it at.
Yeah, but that was 3 hours into the day. Like you could, if you knew in the beginning of the day, you would have said in the beginning of the day. I think you learned it throughout the day. And was like,
oh yeah,
duh, Bethany.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like,
yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I love my wife. She lives in La La Land, but I love her.
I think we're learning together, is what I think.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. Don't you think it's incredible?
It's incredible
that I can run a skid loader all day long moving hay, and while running it, be thinking about how to better operate your tractor.
That was very kind of you. You should be doing that. We're a team.
Oh my gosh. Pete says, did a ton of mowing yesterday. I was cooking. We don't have that fancy AC stuff. I don't either. Well, none of my stuff has AC on it. All of Beach does.
My weed eater doesn't.
I could put a trash bag over your head.
That's not funny.
Have to know how to use the rabbit and the turtle. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hey, Lazy Loper, how are you?
Yeah, and my tractor's super easy. It's like an arrow on one pedal going up and an arrow on the next pedal going down. So it's like it's either forward or backwards.
Yeah, I bought it automatic.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then as I was mowing, I was trying to go backwards, and the mower was like sloppy. And I was like, the pins aren't in. It's swaying. It's too sloppy. And he was like, the pins are in. Just go. And I'm like, no, the pin. it's watch me when I back up. So I'm backing up, and then it would like kick to one side, and then when I'm turning the wheel, it would kick to the other side, and I'm like, that's not locked in. And he's like, the pins are in, just go forward. And I'm like, I have to go backwards half of the time. It's not right. It's not right. I stopped 3 times. It's not right. And so finally I'm like, I'll just do it myself. And then he comes up, he drives up in his truck. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm telling you, just give me a minute. I'm like, put that pin in it now. So I'd like turn the wheel all the way to the side, and then it pushed the little bar in where you could actually engage the pin. And then I'm like, I told you it wasn't right for the first 3 hours.
I had the pins in.
They were not in, they were set in the like placement holders. They were not in like the engaged holes. It like slides inside, and there's pins on the top, and you can put it in different positions. So guy that knows tractors would know that. I know that it should not be slopping like that as I'm backing up.
Pete says we do want them comfortable, right? Yes. Well, yeah, we do want to create an environment where it's their peace, right?
It was peaceful.
Yeah, it is. Nitos, I think, has a really great point. So did that tractor not come with an owner's manual?
It's like words. There's like no pictures, Nitos. Come on. And it takes time to like read that thing. I was just hoping.
How much time did you spend today trying to figure it out?
Hours. Literally hours. And then, so I'm get done at this one spot. I'm going to the next spot. He's like, hey, go to the dam and try to back yourself down, the cattails, see if you can do better. Because I was using a weed eater, and I did not want to like get my boots wet and step out into the water. And he was like, I don't see the problem. Like, Bethany, go halfway in the pond and get the cattails. And I'm like, no can do. No. So he's like, why don't you take your tractor down there, since it's on the back, and like back your tractor to the pond and try to get those cattails. I'm like, okay, we can go over there and see if I can do that. And then I'm like, what is that smell? Oh my gosh, why is there such hot air coming out of the vent? Like there's no more air conditioner coming out. It is pure hot air coming out of the vents. And then I'm like, whoa, that smell, there's a really weird smell. So I'm just by the barn. I just back into the little spot, turn it off, and open the hood. And at that time, Jeff drives past and says, what's the matter? What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. It smells weird. You smell that? And he goes, oh, look at all that stuff on your filter. You're going to seize that air conditioner motor. You need to clean that fuzz stuff off. So he goes, go get a paintbrush. So I went and I got a brush, and I cleaned all it was like a thick layer of, it did look like fuzz on the filter, and then behind the filter, like on what was like the radiator. So I cleaned all that off, and then that's when you came over and said, what are you doing? What's going on? And I said, I was cleaning this up. I just got the filter back in. I'm going to start it and see what's going on. And then I start it, and it's making this loud whining noise, and then it smells like rubber, like burning rubber.
Yeah, it smells like it's smoking a belt.
And I'm like, he goes, cut it off. I'm like, I literally did not do anything to the belt. I didn't touch it. I just cleaned the dust off of the
so we
filter.
You figured out you could blame Carl. Who had it in the middle there that you can blame?
That could have been Carl too. I mean, as far as I know, he could have gotten under the hood and did something with the belt. I mean, I don't know. It worked for hours before this. And so he goes, no, just turn the RPMs down and start it again. And I'm like, the RPMs are down. And he goes, well, start it again and let me see what's going on. And so he's all standing back and looking in there, and I turn it on, and he's like, turn it off. call the mechanic.
Yep.
I gotta go. Like,
She did something.
I gotta go. I'm leaving. I've gotta go.
She did something.
Fix it.
Mo said my PTO shaft came off. The disconnected PTO shaft tickled my back. Fun times.
I don't know about tickling. So I managed to break my tractor now.
Oh, yeah, this is
about
cool.
48 hours on it.
Terminator said, tag, my husband is starting to work on a 1932 hand Craig dozer and have it running so I can pull stumps with it. I will have to do a video. You
Yes,
need to
you
absolutely do a video.
That would be badass.
Yeah, absolutely. What else you got, bud?
So anyway, I've had a nice tractor day. What else? Got to babysit the granddaughter.
I wonder if I can.
Our son was needing a sitter for a few hours, so we went and did that. Our red our red cow is in heat. She is over being bred, so she will be probably bred this week. She is actually in heat before Moo, which kind of I thought would be the other way around, but that's how it happened last year too. So
yeah.
Oh, I found a bird in the yard, a little baby turkey. I was going to do chores and I heard something chirping over yonder, so I walked over there and it was a very loud chirp. So found just a random baby turkey in the yard. And when I picked it up, it looked like it was basically dry, but not all the way. And she was cold. So I picked her up and I held her and I brought her all the way into the house and put her in the brooder. And when I went back out to see if I could find her where it came from, I found a nest. I found a turkey sitting on a nest underneath the gas tank in the grass. And then that was yesterday. So then today I was doing chores this evening and found that mom turkey was walking across the chicken yard with two brand new chickens or turkeys, born today. They are so tiny. And they can barely walk with their wings all real spread wide, trying to catch up with her. I threw some food out there for them. And then I went over to her nest because if she left the nest, then I wanted to see what was in it. And there were three turkey eggs and a guinea egg. So I took those and put them in the incubator with all of the others to try to, see what happens, I guess. Last time I did that, I did get one guinea to hatch out of just a random egg I found in the yard. It hatched like 2 days later. So it's like really close to hatching. But we've got new birds hatching, not just from me, but from Mother Nature. I had 8 hens and then I had 4 hens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that the others are probably on nests somewhere, just like this one here. So now she's back and has 2 babies with her. So they could come back. I'm hopeful. Even if they don't come back with babies, they could be randomly stashed around the yard somewhere. So I'm hopeful for that. And it's such a blessing. So cool to have the opportunity to see that too. That nature, that.
From the surprise.
It is a surprise.
You go, wow, look at that. There's more there.
Yeah. And they're doing just what nature tells them to do. And I get to be a part of it. It's pretty cool. And that is some of my piece. I get to go out there and watch them and love on them. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. Do you like going out there? You get to see all the babies?
Mm-hmm. I do. What else? You want to do some pictures?
Can?
I took this first picture, guys. It's not a very good picture because
Because you're trying to get down in there.
let's see here. We're working on it. I don't want that one. That's not a very good one. How about that one? There you go. And that picture's not a very good picture, but your grapes are turning purple.
Oh yeah.
You know, which are pretty cool. Apparently my camera focused on the wrong spot.
On the grass behind
Yeah.
it.
But how cool, right?
That's a nice clump too. Cluster.
Yeah, Pete says, isn't it great when mom is happy? Yeah, you know, they say happy wife, happy life, but I like happy spouse, happy house because it only works if it works both ways. But
yeah,
but it's totally great when they're happy. That's creating that peace that, you know, we always talk about. No, that's so important.
Yeah, I want you to be happy.
Yeah, look at that.
That is one single elderberry.
Yeah, I just think it's beautiful. Yeah, I went into.
And that is as big as your hand too. That is
probably
massive.
Bigger. Yeah, probably bigger. Pretty soon those will be all full of berries. But B has a lot of elderberry, and I like to walk around and just take pictures.
These are being consumed pretty bad by the Japanese beetle.
You got bunch traps out though, right?
There are, yes, but my goodness, they are everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think that the bag idea is a good idea. I think you should go back to the bucket.
I could do that. That's fine. I just had the bags on me already, and there was a problem in the orchard.
Yeah.
As far as the beetles go, there were quite a few. So I just went ahead and used what I had on me.
Yeah, it's flower time. We have many of flowers a bloom, and I really like looking at the flowers. I encourage B to plant flowers too.
Lots of lilies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because they're pretty and I like to look at them. But
there's like deep red ones. There's
yellow.
Yeah, those are yellow, variegated.
Oops. I really like your garlic. Those are some huge heads.
Yes.
Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah, they smell delightful just walking past them too.
Yeah. This is a great picture. Maybe look, you look real close. Tell them the pictures of the guineas because this cracks me up.
Tell them the picture of the guinea.
Tell them the story of the guineas.
One of these is the mom.
Yeah,
but they are running together.
Guys, this is in the food forest, which has a big fence all the way around it. The guineas have figured out they want to live in the food forest. Right?
Yes. And they have 14 babies chasing them.
Yeah. And out of the blue, apparently they had been laying in the horseradish. Where were they originally?
In the mint.
In the mint.
Yep. And then when I cut the mint to put it into the chicken coop, because I had the bugs in the chicken coop, then that's when I found the nest. And because I found the nest, they moved them and left birds behind or eggs behind. And those were the ones I picked up and put into the incubator. And 2 days later, I got one to hatch.
And then all of a sudden she looks down and there are guineas and 14 babies running around. And then again, we're talking about nature, right?
Yes.
And if you guys see, there's the community building in the background.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that guineas like work together to raise the birds because there's another guinea on a natural nest inside of another garden where the cilantro is. They went inside the cilantro and the cilantro had sunflowers in there also. And they went in there and a guinea had a nest. One of these guineas from this food forest runs up the line, through the fence, down the road, through the fence into another garden and goes over to that other mom in another nest. So I didn't realize that they like work together to raise babies. I've never seen other birds do that. Like turkeys and chickens, they'll like have a clutch of eggs. And I've even seen it where one bird hatches, that mom is like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom. And they leave the nest with like 1 or 2 birds and leave this whole clutch of eggs behind. And if you're not there to get them, then they spoil because they're not continuing to be warmed. So it's amazing that these birds, one of them to all of them, I don't know, laid 14 at least. Well, there was 12 that did not hatch that were not. So I candled them before I put them into the incubator. And the ones that were not with a chick I just disposed of, and there were 12 of those. And there were 3 eggs that had something in them. I put them in the incubator, and one of them hatched. One of them hatched. No, 2 of them hatched because there was only one, and I took it out of the incubator just now when I put the other ones in. So two of them must have hatched from the natural nest, from this 14.
What I think is cool is you can see the 3 white ones, but they're surrounded by brown ones. They're just camouflage. You can barely see them. But to answer a couple questions that I think is important. So like Squatchy said, do guineas eat veggies? What do they eat? So yeah, they eat lots of ticks, lots of bugs. They're great bug hunters. And I've had people tell me that they will
dig around at the plants.
Dig around at the plants. We have experienced none of that. They have been.
I've experienced a little bit.
Have you? Yeah, they seem to be pretty mellow. So I'm going to try to encourage them to continue to live in the food forest, because if we can get them established there, they like it there, which they clearly do. I think it's amazing that they chose the food forest on their own.
Yeah.
Like we didn't encourage it or nothing. It just.
I was going to say too, so inside of the chicken baby run, I have a guinea in there. I didn't realize I had a guinea in there, but I have a guinea in there. So these babies are 2 weeks old, and they are in the chicken baby pen. They're chickens, and I think 2 turkeys and like 9 chickens. And then so this, when I was doing chores just now, I heard a commotion over there, and I walked over there, and there was a bird that was running really fast, and the others were chasing it. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Well, this bird looked like a Narragansett on its head, which is why I thought it was a turkey, but I think it's a guinea. It had one of those big cockroaches, one of the really big ones, and the guinea had it in its mouth. 2-week-old baby running around the pen, and the chickens were chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would let the cockroach go, and the bug would start to crawl, and it would snatch it back up and wipe its beak on the ground and start running again, while the chickens start running after it. And it would do it again. It would like drop it on accident, I would assume, grab it after it started running, wipe it, like trying to kill it is what I assume. So like at 2 weeks old, this guinea is like savage, killing this giant water cockroach in the chicken coop. Like, now that is impressive.
Yeah.
Because the chickens don't do that.
Yeah.
They're like,
they wonder why that is.
They love to eat worms. I've seen them eat flies.
I've seen them eat Japanese beetles.
I have too, but I've had to feed them to them.
Yeah, we dump a bucket in there, they'll go to town.
But come on now. It would be better if they went up and found their own.
The guineas are excellent. It's going to be a great experience or experiment to have a flock of guineas in the food forest and to see what they do. We'll keep you guys posted on.
I've seen these guineas go over to the yarrow. So the moms go over there and they jump up in the plants to get the bugs off the top. The guineas.
So little bobbing heads popping up.
Whole birds.
Like that, like whack-a-mole?
Yeah.
Like whack-a-mole?
Yeah. Which is very impressive, I think.
Yeah.
That they're in there eating bugs.
Yep. And we're just going to leave them be, and we're going to see kind of what happens, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Mo says, after my friend's dog killed most of my chickens, a couple brooders remaining started sitting again. Do you think it's too hot for them to be viable? No. No, they'll do just fine.
I've got birds hatching out in the nature now.
Yep. Yeah, Jen said God knew we needed them there. Well, I think this is going to be a great, experiment, and we'll see kind of what happens. But I'm going to definitely encourage this, and if they want to be there, another thing I seen that was fascinating is they don't squawk at you as much no more.
No, because they know that I'm in there every day. This is my full-time job.
Yeah.
So I go in there and I mow, I weed eat, I drive the Kubota right past them. I've walked right past them to get over to plant something over there, and they're over here, and I just walk right past them, and they do like, hey, she's here, but they don't continually squawk,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Yeah, look at
What you
that.
got going on here, baby?
Here's some turkey
The
babies.
turkey crew.
So yes, this that's the mom. That's
This is outside of the food forest. You guys can see the metal posts
Yeah,
and
they're on
wood
the
posts in the
road.
background. They're on this side of the food forest on the road. And those dirt piles you see in the back is where she planted some more grapes.
you see this bird right here even.
Oh, yeah.
So the biggest bird in there is Sarah. And
That's one of your originals.
Yes.
Mhm.
She is
She's mothering.
the mom of the 4 littlest ones in there. Those were her natural nest birds. She had 5, and our cows trampled them and ended one of them. And so I took her and the 4 remaining babies and put them into a pen next to the ones that the turkeys that I brooded, hatched and brooded. I hatched them, brooded them.
You incubated them.
Yeah, I hatched them. I am their mother. Anyway, so
Are you my mom?
She was in one pen, and there was chicken wire, and the other birds were in the other pen. And so she would like go up to the fence and sit. And when she would eat, she would do her little call, and those other birds would come over right next to the chicken fence or chicken wire. And so she basically mothered all of them through a chicken wire fence. And when I let the pens open, they all took off after her. She walked down the road and
Yep. She accepted every one of those babies.
Yes.
They're all hers now. All of them. And they're all different ages.
Oh yeah, because
You
I've
have
been
teenagers
growing
and little
these
ones, yeah.
all spring and summer. So, and one clutch, I think I got like 3 birds, and then I think my very first clutch I got 1, which is this one right here, and it's a tom. And then the next one I got 4, and then the next one I got 6, and then the next one I got like 2. So it's just because I was looking for that specific look.
Our animal's free range, so you're going to catch these guys all over the place. They're little herd. She's got a lot more turkeys all grown up, but all the babies, Sarah just kind of, that's Sarah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah just kind of took over. Mandy wants to know, do they dig and scratch like chickens? No. They dig some, but not like a chicken, right? Do you agree with that?
The guineas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I not like a chicken.
Yeah.
The chickens went up to my horseradish and was just removed all of the dirt from the horseradish roots. So the roots were just like
Exposed.
Yeah, sticking out of the ground at least 3 inches.
Yeah.
And so I'd have to take the rake and rake it all back up over the roots. But the guineas go in there. They don't dig up any roots. Like chickens just dig, even if there's food on the top that they could just go and eat that right there. They'll step in it and drag it across and then peck a couple things and then drag it across. So like it's not, they don't forage the same way.
Yeah. Nito says, my old English game birds take turns on the nest. When some of the eggs hatch, one hen leaves with them. The next hen sits, then leaves with hatchlings, rinse and repeat. How amazing is that? Squatchy says, do they climb on cars like goats? No, they're actually closer to being mice. I know this is going to sound crazy when I say that. They scurry.
Oh yeah.
They really don't want to hang out with you. They don't really want to be around you. They don't really want to be around your house. They don't want to be around your belongings. They want to be in the grass.
They do not want you to love them.
They do not want to be loved. No, they're close to being wild, which is why it's really important when you first get them that you lock them up for a while. And like our first guineas were locked up 6 months before we let them out. And we did that on purpose, but now this is their home and they don't seem to go anywhere. And the babies seem to stick around because they stick around. Right. And
as far as we know,
right.
The first time we're like,
yeah, we're just going to keep on raising them. And this food forest might be a blessing that's where the guineas do their thing every year. And, off you go. Right.
We're going to check it out.
It is such a lovely place to be watching and hearing all the wonderful animals. Yeah. And they are everywhere. B has grown a lot of animals. Yeah. Scotchy says,
not a
lock
lot.
them up like kittens so they stick around. Yep. But when they do,
Do
then
you have to do that with kittens? I didn't know that.
I've never done it with a kitten. but normally you feed them and they stick around.
Yeah. I did lose one turkey to the water trough.
It drowned itself.
It did. And then I took some clamps
Mm-hmm.
and that I think it was like a old bed frame
Mm-hmm.
part, and I clamped that onto the trough, so that hopefully if they get stuck on, I was standing there filling up a little tiny waterer, a little pint waterer, and two turkeys jumped up onto there. One landed on the rim of it, and the other one landed in it and just started like flopping around because it couldn't get out. So I did have to stick something over it. So hopefully it can at least get one wing over there and try to hold itself above water.
Yeah, Squadgy says 3 months on kittens so they know where a safe place is or home. Yep. So same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
All right.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is it's funny the blurry line between prepping and homesteading. All right. So me and my buddy Gypsy, we found a deal on a guy that had hay from 2023's cutting, and it was just sitting out in the field. And he said, "You guys want them? Come and get them. You can have them." And so we went and picked them all up. And Jeff went over there with his tractor. He would load them on a trailer, bring them to the farm. I would unload them with the skid loader. But it's over 100 bales, which is a lot. And those are, big bales. Last year, I think we went through 8 or 9 in the winter.
Yeah.
So our load's about 8 or 9 during the winter. There's 100 of them here. Now, most of these we won't feed. Most of these will turn into mulch. But another good way to look at this is a great place to store minerals, right? So a lot of these bales, as they begin to decompose, I'll move them all over. You can put them into the manure spreader and spread them all over your property. This is coming off a farm that doesn't spray. It's just field grass. And, we're going to take the minerals at the very least. At the very best, we're going to get some feed out of it, some garden mulch. And all this cost us was our time, and our energy to go do it.
Yeah. And to be nice to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this will bless many homesteads. If there's, and I already know some are already interested, somebody who needs some mulch for a garden, needs some hay to get through the winter, whatever it is, we'll make sure we bless as many people as we can. Again, we got them for free, right? So, other than your fuel and your time, those kinds of things, but I thought you guys might enjoy that. Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool. And I'll tell you something else that's really cool is that as these sit here over the next few years, you want to talk about creating a great place to have a garden. This will be a roaring garden. You let those sit there and decompose for a while, right? That's so much hay. That's just like so much.
That is a lot. And some of them are broken open.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Yeah. Jen says your carbonaceous diaper for winter. Yep, that's right. That is absolutely right. Oops, that's the wrong one. What are these, babe?
Where'd you find them?
They came out of a bale of hay that I was moving in that pile of hay.
Looks like snake eggs.
That's what my guess was, snake eggs. They're very rubbery.
Yeah.
Anybody have any idea what those are? I would have guessed snake as well.
Where'd you put them? Hopefully you didn't leave them there.
Yeah, I left them right there. They're right in front of that first bale of hay, but they're not going to hatch now.
You don't think?
No.
Why?
Because they're not where they were. They're out in the beaten sun, But they were super, super rubbery.
Well, I hope we don't go up there and find out that
snakes are not bad creatures. Snakes do a lot of good, depending on what kind of snake it is.
Depends on what kind of snake there is. Yeah. If there's 9 new snakes up there, we'll know. In Lisa's container.
I'm so proud of you. You counted all that quick. There's exactly 9 eggs there. And 5.
I can do that.
You were on it, man.
I can do that.
Especially if they're rubbery, venomous snakes, at least in Southeast Oklahoma, don't lay eggs.
Oh.
Yeah. Juby Joe says, compost. Hey, Juby Joe, how are you?
Good idea.
Yeah, I say it's a snake, but I found it pretty interesting. I have no idea how old they are. They just rolled out of a hay bale that I was moving today. So I thought I'd take a picture. Pretty cool. I'll show you where they're at.
That's kind of gross. Now I want to cut one open.
You can.
See what's in there.
Okay. You can. And look at that.
Oh, yeah, there I am.
Bee and her mower.
Got a brand new mower.
That's funny. Packrat says she sounds highly motivated to know how many nope ropes might hatch.
Highly motivated.
Yep. So Bee got to do some mowing, which was pretty cool. Yeah. Louise says definitely snake eggs. Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. So we shall see. I think you're going to cut them open.
Maybe.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Compost. That's a good idea.
Yep. I wanted to share with you guys, we have a new model at EMP Shield I thought you guys might like. This is to plug it directly into a wall outlet.
And then you plug your item into
it. Yep.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And just in case you were curious why these come about. So the original EMP Shield was tested to deal with 50,000 volts. And why 50,000 volts is because the military standard, that's what it calls for, is to be able to shunt 50,000 volts. And in October this year, China tested an 86,000 volt EMP. And some of the powers that be think that they could be up to over 200,000 volts now. And so we're starting to take a big, hard look at what would a coordinated or a layered defense look like. Where we would still install them the same way we do, but maybe on some of the more important, stuff, your refrigerator, or really what these are built for is, a computer in some data center or whatever, right? That those kinds of things that you could protect some of that bigger stuff like that. I don't know if you guys know this about China. I know we're not onto the good news, but I'll just share this with you guys real quick. They've published over 500 documents over the last couple of years talking about how to take down the grid of the Western countries. 367 of those documents were United States. The rest of them were the European Union. And so they've studied it. And so we're trying to work on creating a layered defense if those weapons get to be that big, because that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with as far as power-wise goes. Anyway, this has not even been released. You guys are the first people in public to ever see it, just so you know. First one.
So this particular item is only for a refrigerator.
No, it's just for an outlet. So you could plug anything into it. Anything that's 110.
No, I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
for one item.
For one item. Or you could actually plug a power strip into that and put several items on there if you wanted to. But yeah, it's really designed just for one outlet.
So would we need something like this if we have one on our outlet box or our electrical box?
Well, at the old standards, the military 50,000 standards, no, it tested to that.
Okay.
The problem is they're starting to say that the new ones could be up to 200,000 volts. But that's a lot.
So the one that we have on our panel is so many watts, and then this is another additional. So like they stack.
No. So what this is doing is this is going to capture anything that gets by the EMP Shield, the original one that's in the breaker.
Okay.
Because you got to think of the grid is like a big gigantic antenna.
Yeah.
And so it will grab a hold of that electricity, compound it, and send it down your electrical lines into every house.
Okay.
The original EMP Shield is designed to shunt that electricity away.
Right.
However, the threat's getting big enough. We're beginning to rethink this a little bit and talk about how we create a layered defense. Anyway, I just figured I'd share that with you guys because it's pretty cool. But so you guys know, it is not for sale. It is brand new out of development. It's getting ready to go into production. The only thing that I'm waiting on is the UL testing, because I don't have to, but reputable company takes them to Underwriters Laboratory and make sure that they test for water, for sand, for wind, that they'll won't catch on fire, all that stuff. So it's got to go through that process, which could be a 70, 80 day process. But anyway,
I thought you were going to say 6 months.
No. He says the new ones as in weapons or protection. No. So the new China tested there was estimated at 86,000 volts, their EMP weapon. But the powers that be are saying that the threat is up over 200,000 now and that they need to change all of the standards. So actually our government's going through a big process right now of changing what an electromagnetic pulse standard would be. And so we're all kind of just doing it together. But It basically would just
Is it
protect.
because their weapons got stronger?
What's that?
Is it because their weapons got stronger? They got more technology to make them
Mhm.
stronger.
Yeah, and you always got to adapt technology, babe. It's constant. You're chasing it, all the time. So let me see here for the garage door as well. Yeah, the problem with the garage door is the garage door opener. It's got that. So you could plug this into the outlet the garage door's in, and it would protect that side. The problem is the little antenna that hangs off the garage door opener for your remote, because electricity can couple up that antenna. So it's kind of going in the back door, kind of, if that makes sense. RN says, Tag, do you work for EMP Shield? I sit on the board of directors for EMP Shield. And I'm one of the owners. Let's see.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, kind of a super great option for anyone to plug in. Yeah. What about making a Faraday cage? So, David, here's the thing. A Faraday cage is the optimal answer. The problem with a Faraday cage is you can't use anything while it's in there. It's locked away. So, like, if I wanted to protect a laptop that I wasn't going to use, I'd put it in a Faraday cage. If I wanted to protect some ham radios that I wasn't going to use, I'd put them in a Faraday cage.
Makes sense.
Right. But if I wanted to protect my computer that I'm talking to you guys on right now, Faraday cage is just not an answer.
And you can't turn around and put it in there every time you.
I mean, you could. You could disassemble the whole computer, put it in a box.
Oh my gosh.
Right. But that'd be
a huge Faraday cage.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. My parents lost everything that was plugged in when the pole outside their home was hit by lightning a few years ago. Yep. We get EMP shields back to the factory all the time that have been hit by lightning. And they do a great job. They're very good at it. What does that say? Every ace or tree value should carry. True value should carry. Yeah, they should carry them. I agree with that. Yeah. All right. Terminator says, how do you grow turkeys? I raise turkettes, but if I can grow them, it would be easy. Turkeys actually aren't that hard to grow. Oh, sorry. Turkeys actually aren't that hard to grow, right? I mean, the first 2 weeks they want to die, but beyond that, it's like raising a chicken. Would you agree or disagree?
Basically, you feed them game bird feed,
yep.
Which is a higher protein and has a little bit of different stuff in it. And then I keep them out of the rain for like the first month because they'll look up and drown in the rain. And then
they're pretty
try to keep them out of the water trough because they drown easy.
Yeah, but once they're a couple weeks old, they're pretty tough.
Yeah. I mean, if you have other birds who are poop heads, they peck at them, and they're little and they're kind of special needs until they're big.
Yeah. RN wants to know, Tag, does this mean that all the EMP shields that we bought and installed are now obsolete? No, not at all. They're actually the most critical part of the whole process is what's sitting right there at the breaker box, because it's going to take the mother load. It's we're just, as the threat changes, we're trying to adapt to that threat, and so again, some of
the threat has changed.
Well, we don't know that it's changed. The speculation of the threat has changed.
Yeah,
we don't know. I'm not over in China, and I don't totally have all that information. What I can tell you is that the powers that be believe it's changing.
Yeah,
we do know that China tested an 86,000 volt one. We are extremely confident that at that level, just one on the breaker box will do fine. But if it's 220,000 volts, now you really got to start looking at, where are you at? Where's ground zero? What's the latitude and longitude? What angle are you at? What surface are you on? And that's, you're talking about a lot of power.
So it just gives it more protection.
It's a layered protection. Just adds a little more to it. But no, it does not make it obsolete in any way. Do not get rid of it. We are still making those exact same ones, and we will continue to do so. Okay.
Can you make them with more? Can you make the panel ones strong?
That's not the worry. So yeah, you can beef that up from that power coming down that main line.
Yeah.
What we're more concerned about isn't that. What we're more concerned about is the E3 of the EMP as it radiates through the wall. Because will that device sitting at the breaker box have enough time to respond to that much voltage before there's a problem? It's not the line coming into the house. That probably makes no sense to you, but hey, Amy B, good to see you. All right. What you sent me this picture? What do you want to say? You made homemade pizza?
Yeah, we made homemade pizza with that is the Jen gave Jess some sourdough starter,
Mhm.
and Jess grew it, and we made pizza dough. I
Mhm.
guess we didn't make pizza dough. Jess made pizza dough. I ate the pizza dough. She was like, "Let's make pizzas," and I'm like, "Pizzas and meatballs."
You guys are so
She's
weird.
like, "Pizzas and meatballs, that doesn't go together." I'm like, "Sure it does. Pizzas
Oh
and
my goodness.
meatballs."
All right, so check this out. So I had half of 2 different days where I didn't really have a project started, nothing for me really to work on at the time, waiting on either a part, material, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I had, and it was really hot and I wanted to work inside. And so I told B, I said, hey, well, let me go play with, she wants me to build a bed for our new bedroom.
And here it is.
And so I thought, I'll show you guys a few pictures. So what I started with is I just cut 4 corner posts, and I like the live edges on them. And so I leave them on them. And then I just cut me some angle iron. And all I was doing was just trying to figure, okay, well, what do I want? And so I cut that to the exact shape of a king bed, right?
Yes.
And set it up, and then got B out, and we looked at it a little bit. And she says, hey, I want big cubbies underneath because I want to put blankets in there, right?
Yes.
And so she's talking about, which I call it building cubes. And so she wanted the underneath, wanted me to raise it up off the ground and put some big cubes on it. So I did. So then I said, okay, B, here's your big cubes. So come back out. And so she comes back out. And we talk about it a little bit and talk about where it's going to go because it's going to fit between 2 windows. And so then she tells me, build a big headboard and a tailboard. And so
Footboard.
yeah, footboard. And so this is as far as I made it. I actually have completely disassembled it and put it up on a shelf until I have time to mess with it again. But anyway, that at some point will be our new bed, which will be pretty cool.
And we had put the headboard like that so we can lean on it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you can lean up against it.
Yeah. Hippocrates says every length of a wire, by the way, hello, Instigator. I don't think I told you hello yet. Every length of a wire is an antenna. Thus, there are antennas past the original device, smaller, shorter, but as the energy increases, super well said. Hippocrates, super well said. And again, every single line, whether it's a coax line, a data line, no matter what it is that comes into your house is an antenna. The little antenna that hangs out of your garage door opener is an antenna. All of those things are antenna, but more.
Things you don't think about.
No, but it's even more than that, babe, because it's the E3 is radiating that electricity. It's going to come through the walls of your house, which that means is it's going to couple onto those electrical lines that run through every wall.
Couple.
It's going to get on them, and it's going to travel them. So when you think about that big a voltage, if that big a voltage is true, and we're working to confirm much of that, but if that is true, we really got to start thinking about how do we deal with it from a layered perspective. Because the threat's just increasing. Anyway, where am I at here? Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Tanya says, how do we protect the electronics in our vehicle? So here's the thing. We sell EMP shields for vehicles, but I'm going to tell you something about a vehicle. And this might be me being a bad business guy or whatever it is. But the fact is they're a pretty small footprint. And there are some estimates that about half of the vehicles out there would turn off and turn right back on. Now the other half are going to be destroyed, but
it depends on the year too, doesn't it?
It depends on baby. It depends on what type of ground you're driving on.
The ground.
Are you on asphalt? Are you on concrete? Are you on dirt? It matters the longitude and latitude. It matters how big the bomb, how far away it is from you.
Yeah.
The weather matters. What's going on at that particular time matters.
Like if it's raining.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it absolutely matters. And so what we're trying to do is just create the best protection that we can, in it. Let's see here. Dana says, 4-poster. Yeah. Had a stained glass fireplace cover that could have easily started a fire. Oh, yeah, from glass. Let's see here. Packrat says, I know that vast amounts of RF start to behave by their own set of rules that we don't encounter in usual radio signals and wall current. Pizza's about those antennas. What if you have a house built from metal studs? Well, the metal studs, I don't think are as now they're going to offer you some level of protection, but it's minor, right? Now, if you had a house built with metal studs, with metal siding on the outside, metal on the roof, well, not just that, babe, because walk into my metal Quonset hut and try to make a phone call.
Oh, yeah.
You can't make a phone call out of that place.
Yeah.
So it offers a great level of protection. So there's a good chance that as long as I wasn't at ground zero, whatever I had in my shop would be okay.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So all
Wouldn't
it's
that
just
be cool?
yeah, it's just all about different layers of protection. But the thing is, so even if you protected your building, the one vulnerability to the building is any electrical lines that are coming into it, right? Any wires that are coming in could be problematic. Let's see here. GB Joe said, called the electric company to take out my smart meter that was installed when I was out of state and told them, oh, ugh.
Wait till you're out
Yeah,
of date
yeah.
and they install it.
Manny says, Tag, you're like a MacGyver in building things. That bed looks awesome. It's going to be cool. I can't wait to get it all finished up. But I ran out of time, so I'll put it on a shelf. And I do that a lot. Like I'll work on a project and then I'll park it till I'm back on something else, till we get there, but I don't have to start at zero. I got a lot of it cut, So better get where, there we go. Sorry, I got to get out of that comment. All right, what do we see here? Flintstone Mobile should be EMP safe. Here's the thing about a mobile phone. See, if it's plugged into the wall, you're done. It's never going to turn on again. However, if it's in your hand or it's in your purse, it probably will be just fine. So, I say probably. Again, there's a lot of variables, right? Let's see here. Told them the story about the gas, and weeks later, the gas company was making and digging the gas lines to repair. Looks great big too. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a king size bed.
Yeah. Okay. We are 1 week, well, a little more than 1 week. A week from Saturday, we will have our Freedom Fest. I'm looking forward to it. Jim Gale will be down here. Talk to him this week a couple times from Food Forest Abundance. We're going to talk about food forests, and we're going to talk about freedom, and we're going to talk about what it means to us and how do we best achieve it. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Homestead Olympics. I totally don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm sure we will embarrass ourselves plenty. I'm looking forward to eating barbecue sauce and the pie walk. Looking forward to the fireworks show. That will be really cool. We have not done a, professional fireworks show out here ever. So that will be pretty neat. So that is exciting. Let's see here. How are you moving that bed into your bedroom? Does it come apart? Yeah, it actually comes apart in 5 pieces. And actually, that's one of the challenge modes. So, building stuff like that is you have to think about not just how to put it together, but how to take it apart. And then can you take it apart when all the final pieces are on?
Yeah.
And so, but yes, it will absolutely come apart with 8 bolts. It will come completely apart. Packrat says, Tag, how much anti-EMP security, in your opinion, would a standard Connex storage container provide? Very good. The only worry is the rubber gasket around the door, but I'm going to tell you, you would have to be at ground zero, or you were going to have to be in a place where you're getting a lot. It's going to offer fabulous security. And here's the test, Packrat. You ever want to know how well it will do? Go into the shipping container, shut the door behind you, shut it tight, and try to make a phone call. If you can make a phone call, an EMP is going to get through it. If you can't, you're in good shape. Right?
That's good.
That's how you do it. That's true for testing Faraday cages and a lot of those things. Now, that isn't 100%, foolproof method, but that will get you a long, long ways. That'll tell you if you're in the right path or not in the right path. Because again, there's just so many variables still. I have a buddy named Hancock, and he always talks about how electricity is still a theory. Like there's still so much about it we don't know, as human beings. So
isn't that crazy?
I think it's exciting, kind of, actually, to be honest with you.
That they don't know about it?
Yeah, that there's still plenty left to learn. And new inventions and new things, And now those can be used for bad things too. But yeah, I think that's a good thing. Okay. Hey, I wanted to share with you guys, Jim Gale, he has created a website I wanted to show you guys called Origins Reclaimed. And it's much like how freesteading worked. And if you guys get in here, Pat Miletich is in there, Jim Gale's in there, Joe Salatin's in there. There's a bunch of it's brand new. There's only a couple thousand people in there right now. I've been over there, made a couple posts, et cetera, et cetera. But if you guys are interested, and actually what I can do here,
That's
Let me
pretty
show you
cool.
guys. Let me show you guys real quick here. Sorry, I got to get rid of all the others. There we go. I'm going to try to share with you guys real quick here. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. Okay. Window. There we go. Share. All right. There you go. So this is basically it. A lot like freesteading. There's, posts and there's Jim. There's a bunch of smart people in here. Look at that. There's Tag and B. Look at that. Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff in here. They were talking about planting along fence lines earlier today. But anyway, if you guys are interested, feel free to go over there. There's Joel.
Joel's skeletons on there.
There's Margie Wildcraft.
Oh, and that's the herb guy.
Yep. Kevin Prinz. Kevin Fretz. That guy's the herb guy? Yeah.
The herb doctor.
Yep. Yep. There's Alan Campbell. Yep. Lots of good stuff.
So you know a lot of these people.
I know pretty much all of them. Yeah. But anyway, feel free to come over there. Feel free to tell them Tag sent you. I'm sure they'd appreciate that. Yeah, I get nothing for it. Doesn't mean anything to me whether you do or you don't. But as far as financially, but they're good people and I like supporting them. So that is why I decided
to join.
That I'd go over there and check it out. So it's pretty cool. If oh, there you go. Jen, you were so on top of it. Hippocrates says, Rutro, those pacemakers with wire leads to the heart. Oh, yeah, but again, it's so small. It is just so small that antenna is small. I mean, I'm not going to say that it can't be affected, but you're going to have to be in the worst of it. I don't think you could just be on the edges of that. I think you'd be okay. That's just my opinion. I'm not an engineer. A lot of people a lot smarter than me, but based on my information, I would say it'd be just fine. No. Oh, look at that. My buddy Mario. So good evening, my groovy life done free family. Can't wait to see you soon. Yep. 6 days and a wake up. Yep. Ought to be good. Hopefully B can get the rest for mowing done. Right? You think?
Gonna have to get the mower fixed. The tractor.
Oh, I think I was still sharing. Okay. I think I've stopped sharing now. Anyway. Cool.
Yep.
You guys want to talk about some good news tonight?
Do we have time?
Well, we've got a few minutes. We can kind of blow through it kind of fast. That's one of the hard things is, I spend hours putting it together and then we run out of time.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be over-prepared.
You're a little windy.
Than under-prepared when I can be. There's a lot going on.
I know.
How do you know? You don't pay attention to any of it.
I was talking about on the farm. I pay attention to everything that's going on here. This is my life. It's what's going on outside, the whole China and Israel. And I pay very little attention to that.
I know. But the good news is
TV, we don't turn the TV on. We don't have.
How do I keep up on it?
Your phone.
Do you have a phone?
Yeah, but I don't carry it around like you do.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's gone on over the last week. Right. I know a lot of this you guys will know. America, as you know, bombed Iran. They bombed their nuclear facilities. They dropped 12 bunker buster bombs on one particular site and then launched 30 cruise missiles at the other sites, which was weird to me because they're not going to penetrate far enough to do any damage. Why would they do it other than, maybe some show of force? The other thing that I find interesting about this is Iran, they talked for the last 20 years that, they were going to have a nuclear missile any day. We've heard it forever. But just being able to enrich the uranium to a 90% level, weapons grade level, doesn't mean you can deliver a nuclear bomb. There's still a delivery system. There's still a trigger. There's still a lot of those things. And you guys think about North Korea. North Korea, who's claimed to have nuclear weapons for a long, long time, has their rockets blow up after launch all the time, right? I mean, they're still trying to perfect it after all these years. So that's interesting to me. I also find it interesting that they talk about how is this flawless thing, this, we flew over these B-2 bombers, which, by the way, a B-2 bomber is 36-year-old technology, just so you know. Right?
36 years.
Yeah, the stealth bomber that flew over Iran and bombed them, that they said was this remarkable thing, is 36-year-old technology. So I promise you we have that. I promise you we do. But anyways, they talk about this flawless and no other military in the world could have done it, and all of these crazy things. But what they don't tell you is that Israel had been bombing them for 11 days and had been taking out the surface to air missiles and taking out all these things. There really wasn't a defense when we got there. You know what I mean? So, Trump wanted to talk a lot about how not a single bullet was fired or a single missile was fired. Well, it's because you've been taking them out for 11 days, right? It was certainly had something to do with it, at least, in my opinion. I think this was an interesting perspective. They said the hidden logic behind the Iran-Israel war is not just about Iran, it's about saving the dollar. This war isn't just about Israel trying to bomb Iran. It's about something far bigger, protecting the U.S. financial system from collapse. Let's be clear, Israel doesn't act alone. It's been conferring with Wall Street and taking quiet instructions from the Federal Reserve, but this time Israel miscalculated. Tel Aviv didn't expect the scale, speed, and precision of Iran's retaliation. Neither did Washington. The shock was real. What followed made one thing painfully obvious. Israel can't handle a long, high-intensity war, not logistically, not militarily, and not politically. I thought this was an interesting case that it really wasn't about the nukes. And I don't know if I buy this story exactly, but I kind of buy that it's not about nukes part. Because again, North Korea has been able to enrich uranium to the 90% level for a decade. Right? And so they still can't deliver. They still don't have the delivery system and the trigger and everything else that goes on to it. Well, if Iran isn't to that point of the 90% uranium and they don't have all of those other things, are they a real threat? And then I would go a step further to say, were they a direct threat to the United States of America? Let's see here. Juby Joe says, with additional towers being constructed, may it be conducive to higher frequencies that may affect our underground network of power sources? I'm going to tell you, the underground network of power sources are not, proof that they're not protected necessarily from those electrical surges. They'll go right through the ground, just like lightning. Did you know a lot of lightning strikes on homes come from underground? A lot of people don't know this, but
like it hits next to the house.
It hits next to the house and it comes up the grounding rod. Many lightning strikes that damage homes come up through the grounding rod.
So
Many.
That?
You make sure that when that power comes up that grounding rod, see, one thing a lot of people don't know about an EMP shield is that it will work between the red wire, the black wire, the red wire, the white wire, the red wire, the green wire, the black wire, the red wire, the black wire, the green wire, the black wire, the white wire. It'll work in any conjunction. So anyway, David Strom says, breaking news, the news still sucks. Yeah, I know, right? It's funny. I start these as soon as I get off the live tonight, guys, when I'm done with the live, I'll be laying in bed, getting ready for bed. Something new comes up, I'll clip it. I want to add it to the live for next week. And then so much changes.
Yeah.
I mean, so much changes, right? Yeah. So what's additional line and towers, conducive frequencies that may affect our underground network of power sources? I don't understand, Juby Joe. I can't even do a search on Google because I get so wordy. That is what I was saying. Gas line. So you want to know if the gas line? Well, the gas line is, if it's metal, could certainly induce voltage. Hey, RN, good night to you. That has happened here twice, not a direct hit, but plenty of damage. Yep. A lot of people don't know that. That's how they come in. I'm going to skip some of these slides. There's a couple pictures of them actually hitting it. But again, I'm going to skip some of this because we're going to run out of time awful fast. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you the rest of the story. This was pretty interesting. For any of you guys who don't know. So America goes and bombs them, and then Trump comes out and says, hey, now it's time for peace. And I think that's interesting. I don't know about you guys, but if someone walked up and punched me in the mouth and said, now it's time for peace.
Now it's time for peace.
I'm going to punch him back. Just saying. But anyway, so he says, now it's time for peace. And then he goes on to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. But in the meantime, prior to that, the Iran launches a bunch of missiles at Qatar, a U.S. military base. And then it comes to find out that at the 17-minute mark, fifth generation warfare, Q confirmation again, Trump started talking about how Iran called him to warn him they were going to bomb Qatar and to get confirmation that those sites were evacuated. So basically what happened was Iran said, hey, look, we have to save some face. We're going to have to strike a U.S. military base. So how about we do this? We're going to bomb Qatar. But why don't you get all your people out of there? And so Trump goes and they evacuate and blah, 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 blah. They put up the, missile defense system. The missiles come in, we shoot them down. That's the end. And we talk about being played, right?
That's exactly what that sounded like.
Yeah, I mean, right. Let's see here. Juby Joe says lightning strike lit your fireplace. Wow.
Gosh.
Dana Grin says, I think the internet and home have been slowed since the night of the bombing. Yeah, actually, they're kind of in an internet blackout, aren't they? Oh, not phone. I think the internet and phone have been slowed since the night of the bombing. Your internet and phone or theirs? Packard says, now it's time for peace. Yeah. Packard goes, not quite yet. Bop. Yeah. Scarlett says, Life and Free, do you really believe that Iran is not a threat to America? And how can we ever be sure that weapons they had? Netanyahu's a liar, though. He said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Well, let me ask you something. No, I don't know that they're never a threat. I don't know that. But let me tell you something. Why? How is it okay that one government says I can have them, but you can't? How is it okay that I say, all right, I have an AR-15, but I don't trust my neighbor. They can't have one. I mean,
well, they might do something wrong with it, bad with it.
Okay, but does that mean that I get to prevent them from having it because they might do something wrong? I mean, this is hypocrisy. And I understand you got to look out for America's best interest. Get it. I also get that there's nobody that's sponsored as much terrorism probably than Iran through the Houthis, through Hamas, through all that stuff. But I also know that our founding fathers were considered terrorists by the British Crown. And I also know that 938,000 people have been killed over there. I mean, so I don't think it's as simple as that. Do I think Iran should have a nuclear missile? No, but I don't think anybody should. Let's get rid of all of them. How about that? Yeah, because my neighbor's a lunatic. That's why he shouldn't have it. And he's proven to be a lunatic over and over again. Okay. So let's run with this. So I get that because they've been the sponsor of terrorism, that the world doesn't want them to have a nuclear missile. But I would argue that just as many people have died at the hands of the Israelis, at the Americans, of the Russians, of a lot of other places. I mean, I guess I struggle with that part, right? Again, I'm pro-American. I love my country. I think we should defend our country. I don't want them to have them, but I don't necessarily think that the world is safer because Israel has them and Iran doesn't. I think we've been programmed to this, Yeah, Mo said they stated they would do something more. Yeah, they've been saying that, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. But isn't it crazy how earlier in the week we were talking about World War III, and here we are at the end of the week talking about, peace? So weird. So quick. So anyway, he brokers the ceasefire agreement. The ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. And so they were supposed to go through this whole process of, okay, we've now got a ceasefire. Wonderful. Everyone's agreed. And 11 minutes later, as SpongeBob would say, Iran launches a missile that lands not where it's supposed to land, it kills 4 people. And Israel decides, all right, you attacked me, so I'm going to launch. So they launch a whole bunch of missiles back at Iran. And Trump gets pissed. This will be world famous. This is going to go down in history as a famous presidential quote. But they were asking him about this event. He was pretty pissed about Israel. But Trump said on Israel and Iran, we basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Quote. Now, here's the trivia that I thought you guys would be interested. He tweeted later on, don't make me use the other F word. Which one's that?
Fire.
You're fired? Fight? I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think the other F word was? Let's see here. When my neighbor has threatened me again and again, just wait until I get an AR. You'll see I've got a strong interest in him not having it. Okay. So here's the thing. But we have in America, at least, we have the right to make a choice. We do not have the freedom of the consequences of our choices. So if your neighbor threatened you again and again, you have recourse. You can absolutely pick up the phone and call the authorities and say, I've been threatened. Right?
Yeah.
But until somebody is convicted of a crime, I don't think, and again, this is not really on the Iran thing. This is more on the pack rat thing, because I think Iran's been plenty convicted. But until they're convicted, I don't think you can start removing constitutional rights, because then what happens when they come for yours? Because you disagree, because you're on a different political party, because, they say mental illness and guns, right? We don't want anybody with mental illness to have guns. All right, well, now you've just disarmed every, veteran with PTSD. The single biggest threat to tyrannical government you can disarm simply by saying we don't want someone with mental illness to have a gun, right? Starla Doak says, I honestly do not agree with what Trump did. Well, I'm going to tell you, Starla, I typically don't either. But if this truce holds, he saved many, many lives. And it was a great thing. These two countries have been fighting forever. And I don't think that that's silly to say they'll probably continue fighting forever. However, if they actually got peace out of this deal, I think it was very worth it. Juby Joe says the pilot was on. The fireplace was directly behind the gas meter. The gas fireplace in the basement was fine, but immediately smelled natural gas after a lightning strike when I walked into the home. Wow. Who does the U.S. call when there's a threat? What kind of threat? What do you mean by that? Like if there's a threat? Yeah, I need way more context to that. Like if there's a threat of a nuclear bomb here, if there's a threat of a missile there. Help me understand what the question you're asking. Let me see. The UN question mark? Certainly he doesn't mean the UN. Is that an F word? There's no international sheriff who will come handle it. No, there's not. America's been the international sheriff forever, right? All right, let's just keep it trucking. I'll skip that. I did find it fascinating that Benjamin Netanyahu later on tweeted that that they officially declared victory over Iran. We achieved a historic victory, and this victory will stand for generations, followed by Iran tweeting out, we stood firm, we won, and we will always honor our martyrs. So both sides have claimed victory. I do also find it interesting that Iranian state television displayed graphics of all the U.S. bases around the Middle East, and that also the Iran TV host declared Iran has officially adopted a policy of nuclear ambiguity, vowing to enrich uranium as much as it chooses. So we shall see. What do you think? Good stuff?
Sounds like a fight.
Yeah, I think it's funny how the Democrats are all over Trump about how he shouldn't do this, blah, 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 when in 2008, Hillary Clinton said that Iran cannot have a nuclear missile. In 2000, Clinton said it. Her husband, Bill Clinton, also said it. In 2022, Joe Biden said it. In 2005, George Bush said it. And in 2015, Obama said it. They all said it. The dishonest media is intentionally, I'm going to read that in a minute. This is an important quote, though. Yeah, but the enriched uranium was moved before bombing in trucks. Still wondering about that. Say they have that on satellite. Yeah, they do, but they also say that the Israel commandos, Mossad, went in there right after the bomb and confirmed they got it all. I mean, so this is kind of my point, Dana, is how do you know? Who do you believe? Because I can pull articles from both sides of this argument. I don't have any idea. Leela says, what I am saying is if it's your neighbor who has threatened you with an AR, you call the sheriff. So you should not take matters into your own hands if it's a dangerous dictator with nukes. Oh, I get it. And I think that, again, and this is a hard part for me. I think that if you feel a direct threat, if you feel that your safety or the citizens that you have sworn to protect are at a threat, I think you have to take action. But I think the argument that they are days away from a nuclear missile, I think is a flawed argument. I think it is no different than Iraq having weapons of mass destruction. I don't see them as I don't want to say a direct threat, as a substantial threat to us over here. Now, they're definitely a substantial threat to Israel. And in fairness, Hamas and the Houthis and all of them have said Israel needs to die and they all need to be gone. And then, the October event came, which no excuse for that. I get why Israel's doing what it's doing. I don't know. Juby Joe said, are we in a staged situation? I have no idea. I can't even hardly make truth.
Staged?
Yeah. Dana said, I don't know either. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see up here. Someone said, I think it was Instigator said Ghostbusters, and Dana said, don't cross the streams. Yeah, no doubt, huh? All right. I did find it interesting that the left, you know how, and again, this is, it's always a spin. Everything's a spin, and we've got to try to find a way through it. Aaron Brunette 5 days ago said Iran is years away from a nuclear missile. Trump is risking starting world war for no reason. And then today she said the Iran nuclear program has only been set back a few months. This is a big deal. Both on CNN, same person. How do you do both?
5 days later.
Right. It's because you're spinning it, right? Democrats went on to claim that the U.S. killed 245% more people in Japan than actually lived there.
Wow.
Because, yeah.
Yeah,
Pete Hegseth completely he shut down this argument by saying that they should just come get on the ground and take a look at it for themselves and bring a big shovel, which I found was interesting. And then Trump reveals that Israel agents entered the Fordow nuclear power plant after the U.S. strike. Israel guys went in there after they hit, and they said it was a total obliteration, according to Trump. But again, how do you know? Starla Doak says, Israel defense minister said the 12-day war was just a trailer. Yeah, and here's my question. And again, guys, this is just a serious question, right? Is that how much of that's theater? You know how they used to say sex sales? When I was growing up, that's what they would always say about advertising, sex sales. Now it's war sales. Not even war, fear sales. Fear sales, right? It's the next pandemic. It's the next world war. It's the civil war. It's people, whatever.
The next storm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, part of me really doubts the whole narrative, which is probably why I'm not even really sticking up for Iran, because I think the leaders that are in charge of Iran are despicable. And I think they've been up to no good for a long, long time. But the people of Iran are wonderful people. Everything that I've ever read about them, they're being oppressed over there. They don't want it to be like that, but they're really good people. And so I kind of think we're kind of caught in this game and this storytelling time. And so I'm very reluctant to believe the narrative the United States puts out or Israel puts out or that Iran puts out for that matter, right? Instigator said, we have discussed before if the current time is similar to Germany pre-nationalist or socialist, or are we more like Britain's pre-empire collapse? I think we're more like Britain's pre-empire collapse, but that would be a great debate. That would be a great live show to do with about 5 people. That's a great idea. Don't forget, Iran was working on a space program in disguise of ICBM capability. Mario, just out of curiosity, how do you know this? Now, I know the media reports this. How do you know?
Because they could be lying.
Well, the media also reported Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which was proven absolutely to be wrong after 20 years of combat and 3,000 Americans dead. Right? I mean, so I have a hard time buying the narrative, I think is what I'm saying. And Mario, with all due respect, you're a super smart guy. But again, how do we know? Right? I don't know. I wasn't there, right? Mario said, I also heard that Trump is going to open a new golf course. And I read that says he already has the first 3 holes done. I'm terrible now. Yeah. Yeah, I read that too. And I was following along. I'm thinking he's going to open a golf course. Oh my goodness. Hey, Ricky Dicky Doodog Rhymes, welcome in. How are you? Good timing. 1 hour and 43 minutes in. Perfect timing. We were just getting into the good stuff. I'm going to skip that. Turkey, the president of Turkey went on to say that Istanbul is inseparable from that of Damascus, Baghdad, Cairo, Istanbul, Kabul, and Tehran. And so they appear to be gaining maybe some allies. I will tell you that I'm very, I'm pretty critical of Trump. You guys know this, but I'm going to tell you, you got to give credit where credit is due. And today he helped negotiate a deal between Congo and Rwanda on a peace deal. Guys, these people have been fighting for 30 years. 30 years there have been bloodshed between these 2 countries, and they signed a peace deal today. President Trump went in and got a peace deal between India and Pakistan, Israel, Iran, Congo, and Rwanda. I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And I applaud him for this. I hope it's not just theater. I hope there's more to it than that. But these things are exceptional things. And I hope he truly ends up being the president of peace. Because, man, I'm going to tell you, how many people have to die for the will of some government? How ridiculous is that? Why don't they go fight their own freaking wars? Nope. Instead of using my kids and your kids. Hypothetical, if extraterrestrials were to come to Earth and be watching all us bipedal carbon life forms, how would they interpret the shenanigans? Oh my goodness. They would say that we are not worth intervening.
Leave them.
Leave them. They'll figure it out. Probably like you do with a chicken or a turkey that you introduce out there, or maybe you bring a new dog home. They'll figure it out. They'll get it done. I don't know.
They'll establish a pecking order.
They'll do it. Yep. In Europe, Ursula von der Leyen vows that the next sanctions package against Russia will be a biting one. I am just in awe of how Europe has backed Ukraine the way that they have. And again, this is me being cynical, but it sure seems like the West has pushed that line to the east until they're all the way up against the Russian line, and now Russia's the bad guy. I don't recall, with the exception of Afghanistan, I don't recall another time Russia's invaded another country, or obviously Ukraine, what we're dealing with now. But I can give you, lots of examples of how the West has done it. What else? Islamist gang patrols the streets of London at night, telling men not to drink alcohol and women not to wear skirts. Ultimately, I want every woman in this country to be covered from head to toe. I want the hands of thieves to be cut, and I want to see adulterers stoned to death. And this is from Dr. Maloff over there in London. I don't know if you guys have seen how London's turning out. Yeah, I got a lot on that. You see, over 150 women were stabbed with syringes and poisoning during a street music festival in Paris. Over 1,500 people injured. Online calls were made to target women. People who bash India 24/7 stay silent when it comes to third world countries like France. I think it's crazy they're referring to France as a third world country. But if you watched any of the stuff that goes on over in England and France and Spain and a lot of those places, they've been completely taken over
by
Sharia law. There's places in London you don't even go to.
Wow.
They have their own police force, and we've allowed it.
We've allowed it.
We've allowed it. Yeah. I also find funny. Did you guys know there's a big NATO summit that went on? And how did Zelensky get in there? He's not a NATO member. All those people are all NATO members. Zelensky's not.
Oh.
I don't know how he got his picture there. I thought that was pretty interesting. The NATO chief just announced that the spending will be equalized between NATO members and the U.S. With Trump on its side. Again, another gigantic win for Trump, and I have to give him credit. He convinced the European Union to spend 5% of their GDP on defense. This is gigantic. We've been defending them. They don't even have, a lot of them don't even have militaries because Uncle, Sam takes care of it for them. But now all of a sudden they're going to have their own militaries. I bet you Russia loves this. The only country really not to agree to do it was Spain. And President Trump slammed them and called them freeloaders. This was funny, by the way. Somebody there referred to Trump. I don't know if you guys read this or not, as Daddy.
Daddy?
Yeah, they referred to Trump as Daddy.
Daddy Trump?
Yeah, and if you watch, there's a video out there of Marco Rubio losing his composure kind of in the background when he was asked about NATO's Secretary General calling Trump Daddy. They said the NATO chief, he called you Daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as children? And Rubio starts laughing, and Trump says he did it affectionately. Daddy, you're my daddy. I love his sense of humor. I absolutely love Trump's sense of humor. He got a good one. And again, I'm hard on him, so I want to be good to him when I think he's doing the right thing too, right? He's like the kid that invites himself to all the parties and no one knows why he's there. Yeah. Think about Zelensky. Yeah, and arrested for comments on social media. Yep, they are falling apart. No government or any person can stop what is to happen prophetically. What God said will happen will come to pass. You can only pray for strength and abide through it. I think there's a lot you can do besides just pray. You can get busy and build yourself some water infrastructure. That's what I think. Lots of ICE arrests. They arrested a whole bunch of Iranian immigrants, and one was a former sniper in the Iranian military.
Yikes.
That they're finding on the streets. There's lots of talk about
in the U.S.
Yeah, there's lots of talk about Iranian sleeper cells, but guys, I don't know what's true. And is it theater? I don't know. Maybe I'm just isolated
Could be.
because I'm all the way out here in the middle of Kansas. I don't know. Let's see here. He did just say that, and you were talking about the vice president said, I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents. I don't really like that all that much. In Los Angeles, California is pushing for free rent for illegal families so they don't have to go to work to avoid mass ICE deportations.
So let's just pay for their rent so they don't
Right.
have to leave. So
Right.
that we can.
Yep. Nothing to see here. President Trump casually reminding Russia that the U.S. has 14 Ohio-class nuclear submarines equipped with a total of 280 Trident missiles and a total of 5,600 warheads. Maybe we can all agree to a nuclear proliferation isn't really good for anybody. There were Muslim patrol cars seen patrolling Brooklyn. You guys know what's going on over in New York right now. If you guys aren't, I'll fill you in. I got a couple slides on it if we got time. But anyway, while you're waiting, grab a MAGA beer. The dude's a marketing genius.
MAGA.
Yeah, now they have their own beer.
Brewed in the U.S.
Yeah, we were talking about Trump's sense of humor. I found this and just thought it was great.
Taste the freedom.
JD Vance was telling a joke about Trump, and he says that President Trump says, everybody stop what you're doing and listen to me. And the president looks over at the vice president and puts the foreign leader on mute that he was on the phone with and says, this is not going very well. And he presses the red button on his desk. The vice president says, my eyes get really big. And I'm like, Mr. President, you know what just happened? And he looks at me and goes, nuclear, nuclear, nuclear. He says 2 minutes later, a guy walks in the room with a Diet Coke and he looks back at me and he says, it wasn't nuclear. I just ordered a Diet Coke. That's funny. To me, that's funny. Yeah, Packrat says one of those guys still had his military ID on him. All right, let's truck. I'm going to skip that one. Oh, these were interesting. Did you guys see the photos that are coming out of the tanks that are being stored in Los Angeles and the anti-aircraft batteries that are being put on tops of buildings in Washington, D.C.? I've traveled all over the country and I've never seen anti-aircraft stuff on the tops of skyscrapers in cities.
How do you know that's what that is?
Hey, look at it. Right there.
Yeah, that tells what
That tells me
like
there's
an
missiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean,
a speaker.
I don't know. We talked about skip China. Let's go to so remember I was talking what was going on in New York. So they had the Democratic primary over there, and Andrew Cuomo was in it along with a guy named Zoran Mamdani. I don't know what his name is, but anyway, he has won the Democratic primary, and he's a Muslim, and he's talked a lot about what he would like to do as far as taxes. Right in the heart of Manhattan, this guy voters sets up a Dawa booth declaring New York belongs to Allah and lays out the blueprint for Islamic domination in plain sight. Islam is not just a religion, it's an ideology, a complete system of control, political, judicial, economic, and educational. All other ideologies, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, democracy, etc., are evils and bound for hellfire. This isn't preaching, this is a warning shot. They tell you who they are. We need to believe them. So they're about to elect. It looks like. I mean, Republicans don't typically do good in New York, but can you believe that 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 2,753 people on 9/11? 24 years later, they're going to elect a Muslim to run the state. That blows me away. You would think there'd be so much anger still. Again, I don't think it's fair just to judge someone because they're Muslim. There's a lot of good ones, probably a lot of bad ones, etc. But that's crazy to me. Squatchy says, 1981, there was a movie, Escape from New York. I know, I love that movie. Patrick Swayze.
DiCaprio, isn't it?
No, it's not DiCaprio.
Escape from New York?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking.
It's Patrick Swayze. Pretty sure it's Patrick Swayze. Hey, Palmetto Paratrooper, what's up? Good to see you. This is great. So this is a quote from this guy. The guy's going to run the state. Says he plans on making new laws saying it doesn't matter where companies are headquartered. If you do business in New York, they must pay his new increased corporate tax rate. Businesses can't relocate to lower taxed states to save money. What I propose is that we raise $10 billion to pay our entire economic agenda and start to Trump-proof our city, because we know he'll use federal funding to leverage over the city, and we will do so in two key ways. First is we're going to match the state's top corporate tax rate to that of New Jersey. We are at 7.25 and they're at 11.5. Corporations can pay it over there. They can pay it over here. And the beauty of it is it doesn't just apply to corporations headquartered in New York, because when you say this, people will say, well, they're going to go to Florida. Wherever you are headquartered, as long as you do business in the state of New York, you are taxable for that corporate tax. The second is taxing the top 1% of New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax. Kurt Russell. That's right.
Correct.
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell. That was an Escape to New York. Yeah, that's such a good movie. Anyway, so check this out. So this guy thinks that businesses are going to pay his tax rate from another state or be the highest taxed in the nation at a corporate tax rate. The corporations are just going to leave and they're just not going to do business there. But maybe that's the plan. Right? And they can have their city, and right there we go. Mo says this guy isn't a Muslim. He is an Islamist. Okay, that's fair. Great correction, Mo. Starla says a 5,800 acre hypergrid campus, which will be used to power the next generation of artificial intelligence, is coming to Amarillo. Department of Energy is putting it in near Plantex bomb plants. I don't know what to think about the whole AI thing. Anyway, how we doing on time? Oh, I got to roll.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Last man standing. The only one that can save him is Eric. Oh, what's his name? Sorry. I forget. The mayor that's already there, which is the really distinct looking guy right there. Rep Andy Ogle said to the other guy that won the primary, says, bye-bye, little Muhammad. You lied on your N40 naturalization form. We're going to send you home. So now there's this big talk about kicking him out of the. It'll be interesting, right? Is it deep state? Is it not? A couple really quick things. Colorado has paused an extension for its license plate reading cameras so that city dwellers or so that ICE cannot find illegal immigrants. I thought that was interesting. Wide Awake Media said it's not an accident that the same mass migration policies have been implemented in lockstep throughout the entire Western world. Eric Adams, thank you very much. You guys rock. I agree with that. Downside, negative. RFK talked a lot about they want you wearing a monitor. Wearables put power of health back in the hands of the American people. We're launching one of the largest health and human services campaigns in history to encourage their use so every American can take control of their health one data point at a time.
One data point.
What I want to know is who has access to that data. I also thought it was interesting that Peter Thiel, I don't know if you guys know who he is or not. That's one of the guys that runs Planeteer, which is a big corporation that that Trump just hired to create a centralized database on all Americans. So all of our information at one place. And he warned about the Antichrist while wiring the world for total surveillance, right? It was interesting that he was having an Antichrist conversation, the guy in charge of creating the centralized database that give you the 666 number or whatever they call it, right? Let's see here. Okay, I'll stop with this one. This is a very interesting story. I don't know if you guys heard or not, but the Supreme Court struck down the idea that those lower courts could impact and overrule Trump. And they said that, Trump, he can't do that, basically. And so, what was her name? Miss Barrett. Yeah. Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court wrote the opinion that, and in reference to, you guys know Brown Jackson, the other Supreme Court lady. So he hammered her pretty good. And she said, we will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedents, not to mention the Constitution itself. Justice Jackson skips over that part because analyzing the government statutes involves boring legalese. Justice Jackson would do well to heed her own admonition. Everyone from the president on down is bound by the law. That goes for judges too. Holy crap. Amy Coney Barrett absolutely torches Brown Jackson in her opinion. Even Jackson's colleagues thinks she's an absolute clown. I will ask again, says Jack Pausa, when was Brown Jackson a legally commissioned Supreme Court justice if the person who appointed her lacked mental capacity? Yes, because the Senate confirmed her. The actual quote from the Supreme Court of the United States experts who understand the current court well, this is an unbelievable bloodbath for Brown Jackson. It's really a huge problem for the court to have one of 9 members essentially intellectually disabled from even adequately faking the ability to perform her job. So this lady's getting hammered in the Supreme Court. Trump had a lot of good Supreme Court wins this week. I'm gonna get rid of this here. I've only got maybe 40 more slides, but
Only.
not today, right? Not today, not today, not today.
That'd be another hour.
Yeah, it'd be another
At
hour.
least.
We spent a lot of time on the homestead today. But anyway, guys, I would like to tell you that everything's fine, and it might be. I would like to tell you that everything's a disaster. Might be. I don't know. I can't tell you. We did not set out and build our homestead so that we could survive the zombie apocalypse. We set out and built our homestead so we could live a better quality life.
Right.
And so whatever comes, as long as I have B, right, I'm gonna be all right. And we're going to get through it, and we're going to keep building infrastructure. We're going to keep doing those kinds of things. So I like to bring you guys the news. Don't believe any of it. Believe all of it. Choice is yours, right?
Make your own, do your own research and make your own decisions.
Yeah. Who knows? I can't tell the difference.
But be kind.
Yeah. What? You got any parting words before we get here?
Yeah, I was going to say, last year we had said.
Last year.
Sorry, last
Go
week.
start the tracker.
Last week, I didn't start that last year. Last week we talked about be the peace of your family, be your partner, and we had gotten an email about what is that like? What do you mean? And what?
We got emails last week asking what be the peace meant.
What?
Right.
Right.
With our closing last week was be the peace, and what does that even mean?
Right.
To be the peace.
So for me, we are a team. We together, we have the same goals. We have the same desires. And so when we are accomplishing them together, we in the end have that same goal in mind. And so when we can work together without chaos, and we're a team, and there's no games. We're safe. I'm safe. I feel safe. That's a big deal to me. I don't know about a man if feeling safe is a big deal to you guys or not. But why are you like pouting? And so no judging, no chaos. And so I know that when we come together, you are my partner, and I want to make you happy, and I want to make you healthy, and so that's what
to you,
to me, right? Because I'm sure it's probably
very different. Very different.
You make me feel safe.
No, you talk about feeling safe. Men want to feel safe too, but we want to feel safe emotionally.
Okay.
Not physically.
Right. Well,
Okay.
Same for us too. I mean, for girls, it's a safety thing for
girls. For all you girls who are listening out there, men do not want to come home to a bunch of bullshit.
henpecking, and
They don't. They'd rather stay at work, because I'm going to tell you something. When I go to work and I've got 1 million people that want 1 million things from me, everybody has a problem. The last thing I want to do is come home and listen to it.
to a problem.
What I want to do is be greeted at the door with a chocolate milk and say, "Hey, baby, did you have a great day today? Hey, why don't you go for a walk with me?" Or whatever.
Yeah.
Peace. Or if I mess something up, I don't do something right, say, "Hey, look at what you learned. You'll get them next time, Tiger." When you get up and go to work, don't bitch to them and say, "Oh, you're not going to be here all day." Instead, say, "Go make me proud today." Be their peace. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It is just not complicated. Just be their peace. Because I'm going to tell you, no matter what the world holds us, whether everything we talked about tonight on the good news was true, whether all of it was not true, if I've got B and we're together and we're tight and our relationship is tight and we are connected, right? If we have those things, we're going to get through it just fine. I
Yeah.
promise you, we're going to get through it just fine. Yep. So I don't know if I ever told you guys this story, but when I come home from anything that I'm doing, I have a pole, 2 of them right outside my front door, and I always try to touch it, and it just kind of not that kind of pole. You have to ask about her past.
Bobby, you.
Anyway, that pole, I try to touch my hand on to remind me to leave my work at my work. It's not that I don't want to communicate with B. There's
Right.
nothing she can do to change any of it.
Yeah.
Well,
He doesn't burden me with the
No.
burdens of things that I can't
Yeah.
help with.
yeah. I don't want drama. I don't want gossip. I don't want henpecking. She's not my mom. Be my peace. That's it. And it's so funny, they talk about men want food and men want sex and men want all of these things. Well, I promise you, what men want more than anything is peace.
Yeah.
I promise you this is true. Now, I don't know if it's true for girls, but for men, don't be the problem. I got plenty of other problems. Be the solution, be the answer, be what I want to come home to. Make me want to come home.
Yeah.
Don't make me want to stay at work. Anyway, love you guys. See you guys on Friday. Yep.
Yep.
Stay up. See you guys. Be the peace.